Hi Istanbul from a sunny London. It's great to be with you today. Thanks to GALA and Interpret America for inviting us.
Hello, we'd love to be there with you in person, but here's a short recorded presentation and hopefully you'll be able to take your questions afterwards.
So before we begin, I'd like to state that we strongly believe internet access is a human right, and it angers us when governments try to mess with it. Of course, the internet is very resilient, and I hope most of you have found workarounds. So please tweet us your questions. Now I'd like to paint a picture of how we see the world today. Both Josef and I are part of a generation who grew up during the information revolution of the 90s. We've lived in a world of cassettes and VHS tapes, and have been through many waves of evolution or disruption since then. Our approach is best embodied by this quote: "The best way to predict the future is to invent it." It's so fun to imagine a better world and actually strive to make it happen. Now let's compare a startup with a curry. Curry, you ask? Just as very few of us can claim to understand exactly how our mobile phone works, few of us in this room are likely to have cooked a curry from scratch. To make a curry, there are several, anywhere from 4 to 5, to say 20 or 30 different herbs and spices that are ground together and simmered for the right amount of time, along with the meat, vegetables, cheese, nuts, etc., at the right temperature so it all doesn't fall apart. Chances are, if you have done it, you were given a recipe. This recipe itself is a labor of love, no doubt tweaked over many iterations by generations of passionate cooks, to ensure that the amount of each ingredient contributes to a harmonious taste. What balance, which ingredients, depends on the curry. We think a lot about cultivating the perfect balance at Babelverse and constantly tweaking our own special recipe. It's clear that the collaborative or sharing economy, think of it as a category of cuisine, is taking off, and we hope you'll get hooked too. That's why we're happy to share some of these secrets with you today. The first ingredient is people. Call us idealists, but every day we see that people are increasingly interested in connecting, understanding, and contributing to social good and to the global community. This is especially true when they can directly impact and help another person rather than working for or getting served by large, faceless organizations. We consider this the clear and natural role for modern technology to take in the story of humanity. To really work, these large-scale networks need to be based on trust. Our guiding principle is that people are inherently good when provided with the right environment and incentives. And of course, there are many ways to help build up and preserve trust and quality within a community. Since the internet's infancy, individuals have tried to make money online, but most opportunities have been quite flimsy. Other than some early pioneers such as eBay, it has mostly consisted of getting small commissions for clicks on ads or affiliate links. But with the collaborative economy, we can create an income from real stuff, such as underused items or free time. Users of the collaborative economy also benefit financially, thanks to buying directly from the provider and the cost savings associated with leveraging technology and getting things on demand, only when needed. But it's not all about the money. We love the new lifestyles made possible by all of this, with the freedom to work from anywhere, and to choose what, when, and for whom to do things, on a case-by-case basis. Personally, like most of the Babelverse team, I call myself a glomad. We don't really have home countries, and we like to move every few months and discover a new place, while living as locals. Another important ingredient is technology, which provides many building blocks that make this all possible. Do you know how your smartphone compares to the computers that helped land a man on the moon? It's several hundred times more powerful. And in fact, besides the power of our individual devices, thanks to semi-ubiquitous connectivity to the cloud, we have the parallel processing power of thousands of computers at our fingertips. And following Kurzweil's law of accelerating returns, it's not only processing power, which increases exponentially, but every aspect of technology, such as bandwidth. And industries that use technology, meaning every industry today, benefit as well. An important virtue of widespread access is that it levels the playing field. We wish for a future where everyone has equal access to knowledge, education, and opportunity, where the market rewards people based on their skills and contributions to the community instead of their location, passport, or class. For those of you who might think that some of these ideas are out there, you should know that the collaborative economy has already proven its massive potential in several different industries and is in full growth. To give you an idea, Airbnb is now on par with major hotel chains, and Uber facilitates over 1 million rides per week.
We started Babelverse to solve our own problem. Back in 2010, whilst living and working in Greece, Mayel and I often found ourselves struggling to communicate without access to an interpreter. We would resort to calling up our local friend Kostas. This would help us with informal conversations, but we often needed a more reliable solution. Today, choosing from all the ingredients at our disposal, a curious mind and an inspiration from the science fictional concept of the Babelfish, we're building Babelverse, a universal platform for interpreting. Have you ever found yourself unable to find your way, even after being given a set of confusing directions by 5 different people, but you still end up lost? Or how many times have you been at a conference where the presenter does not speak a language you understand and no interpretation is provided? Or participated in a multinational meeting with very confusing negotiations and ultimately not even knowing exactly who agreed to what? At Babelverse, we're building a solution for all these situations by creating a truly global and human-powered network for on-demand interpretation, while providing a new source of income for our members. Since day one, we wanted Babelverse to be very inclusive. This is fundamental to our mission and creates a community with a growing diversity of backgrounds and language combinations. As of today, our community is made up of over 1,000 language pairs, 180 unique languages, and 8,000 members. We understand that there is a difference between a qualified interpreter and someone who just speaks more than one language. We draw a clear line between these two groups. However, it's not black and white. We've designed our community to be diverse in its capabilities. By utilizing the universally understood belt ranking system from martial arts, enables us to provide a service level for different situations, as well as manage quality control and encourage skill development. Currently, we have yellow belts, free to use for informal settings with an option to give a thank you donation, also a way to scout new talent. Purple belts, a mid-tier rate for the client. Yellow belt members can level up to purple belt once they've proven themselves on Babelverse. And last but not least, black belt, with premium rates and reserved only for qualified professionals. Purples cannot level up to black belt, and if you're wondering, monolinguals are white belts. Our belt system is designed to be expandable. Today we're happy to introduce a new belt, green belt. This is for interpreters in training. We've had many requests from people that are currently studying interpreting who are looking for ways to practice and improve their skills. With this new belt, we will recognize them and be able to provide them with opportunities to achieve this. Babelverse is a platform for interpreting with endless possible applications. Our platform has 4 core functions. 1. Request. The user chooses the language they need and a belt level based on their need and situation. Yellow, purple, or black. 2. Match. We notify the best matched and available interpreters. First to accept takes the request. However, if they're busy, they can let us know so we don't disturb them again. 3. Connect. The user is then connected with the interpreter via voice or video, over the web or via their mobile device, or if there is no internet connection, falling back to telephone. And finally, 4. Payment is made, and both the user and the interpreter rate each other. As a young and fast-moving company, we're constantly developing, testing, iterating, and improving Babelverse applications. This cycle of failures and successes is what drives forward rapid innovation. As Facebook founder Zuckerberg puts it, move fast and break things. Unless you are breaking stuff, you're not moving fast enough. In the spirit of permanent beta, we put out quite a few experiments over the past 2 years, providing interpretation to small TEDx events, large-scale conferences, and US Senate sessions. You may not know this, but our first ever public application was an interpreter hotline service set up post-Japanese Tsunami in March 2011. Back then, me and Mayel were living in Athens, Greece. Shocked by the events in Japan and wondering how we could assist, we got together in my small flat in Athens, and overnight we quickly coded up a simple website where people could very easily volunteer their Japanese to English language skills to remotely assist rescue teams, reporters, and individuals on the ground. Using Twitter and the hashtag #HelpJapan to promote our crisis response service, it was quickly picked up and spread by the Red Cross and other charities. We quickly had nearly 150 bilingual people volunteer their time. One of our largest and most complex ever experiments came when we partnered with AOL to provide remote simultaneous interpretation into 12 languages over 4 days for their TechCrunch Disrupt conference. This was a great learning curve for us, and organizing 30 interpreters was a totally new experience. We learned important lessons on how to better design the scheduling system. The great innovation here was that thousands of remote viewers who would have otherwise missed out could access and enjoy the conference at home in their native language at the same time as everyone else in the room, which also let them join in with the social media discussions around the speaker presentations in parallel with the English audience. And since it was the first time that Mark Zuckerberg had spoken in public since Facebook's IPO, this was a very popular global event. As part of the partnership with TechCrunch, we built a co-branded microsite where viewers could very easily select their language from a drop-down under the live stream. They could also see photos of the interpreters putting a face to the voice. We localized the microsite into all 12 languages so that the experience for the viewer was completely seamless. These are just a few of the many possible applications Babelverse's platform can enable. We'll now show a short video of the website and interpreting in action.
And then on monetization, I'm really
スタートアップから、
optimistic because mobile is a
開
lot
始した
closer to
仕事
TV
から エン
than
タープライ
desktop.
ズ、クラウドプラットフォームを持ってる
Basically, for the last 5 or 6 years,
事業から何から何まで
caught
も
ads.
う様々な事業を見られるということを。
So that was a demo of simultaneous interpretation via Babelverse's virtual booth. But what we're focusing on right now, and very excited to start beta testing with a wider audience soon, is our mobile app. The first version will be all about helping travelers better communicate with locals, for business or pleasure. Here's a short video showing an early prototype in action.
Ich habe mir den Finger geschnitten. Ich habe Angst, dass das entzündet. Haben Sie was zum Desinfizieren vielleicht?
No English.
Ich habe eine Idee. Babelverse. Warten Sie. Ich stehe hier in Griechenland in einer Apotheke und habe mir den Finger geschnitten und brauche was zum Desinfizieren. Können Sie mir das übersetzen, bitte? Sehr schön.
We've come to realize that our mobile app tends to result in interactions which are quite different from traditional modes of interpreting, and in fact there are plenty of reasons why it should be. We're calling it social interpreting, and to explain this further, I'll pass the baton to Steph, our in-house researcher. Let's take the opportunity to give a shout out to Barry and Catherine of Interpret America, since it's thanks to their conference in DC that we met Steph and then brought her on board.
Social interpreting does not mean gossip or chit-chat. What we're talking about is the quality of the connection that you establish with another person. So you can use Babelverse interpreting for light topics and silliness, but we're also thinking of it as a very serious application for use in business and any situation in which you might need it. Let me give you an example. So say you're in a design team meeting for a software product and your designer and your engineer are having a conversation about a development with the project, and there's an idea that just isn't clicking. They're just not able to communicate what they mean to each other using their lingua franca, which is Hindi. So the fallback is to go to your mother tongues and call in a remote interpreter who can help you clarify what it is you do and don't understand and help you generate shared meaning together. So the focus is on resolving that glitch in your communication, and then the team can continue to work on whatever that engineer's idea might have been, whether it enhances or doesn't fit with the scope of the project that the engineer has in mind. So you're there in your meeting, and what will happen is you'll pull your phone out, you'll pull up the application and request an interpreter. Now shift yourself to think about what that interpreter's experience is going to be like. They're working somewhere else in the world, the call comes in, they pull it up, you just need them for the time that you need them, but they don't know what's going on. They're not there, they're not in the context with you, they're going to have to be given some information, they might have to ask you some questions, the technology might be a little funky, you're going to have to work things out together. So these conditions mean that you are going to have to recognize and interact with the interpreter. You can't pretend that there's an invisibility of this person that who's helping you communicate. So you have to all take responsibility for understanding each other and collaborate. So what we're offering with social interpreting is comfortable conversation in which you get to be yourselves, use your comfortable language, your worldview, the ideas and images and metaphors that come with your language, but still retain, who you are and connect with this other person who is also following a code of ethics and professional conduct. So you can be assured that what we're taking care of, the stewardship that we're doing, is of your understanding and meaning for each other as well as cultural differences. So we're interpreting across international, national borders. Black belts who work with us, we're going to be, hoping that you want to extend your repertoire and engage in social interpreting. The yellow belts and purple belts who don't have professional training will still be required to conform to a code of ethics that we'll develop internally. And all of our interpreters will be enrolled as crisis response volunteers, which is one way that we as Babelverse will be giving back to the world.
If you're as excited about Babelverse as we are, please do start by creating a profile on our website. And if, like many members of the community, you want to get more deeply involved, please look into becoming an ambassador. To wrap up, here's a quote you may already know. We'd like to invite you to join us in the human resistance against machines. Thank you. We'd love to answer your questions now.